Okay, so hey guys, this is Mando's Destiny. It's been a while. I'm going to be bringing you some Warframe gameplay today. Um, so let's take a look at the build before I get into what I really want to talk about. This is my general just solo build. This is my Shadows of the Dead build. This is the build I'm going to be using for the video, and this is my dedicated support Desecrate 33333 spam build. I use this a lot for when I'm running solo, but I want to use my shadows a lot today, so I'm using this one. It's not the best, but here. This is my Voltor Prime build right now. It's awful, it's bad, I know, don't judge me. But it's got radiation and viral on it right now. What the heck? There we go, blasting corrosive. That's what I actually want. So that's the build. It's bad, but not terrible. I'm never going to use the Gamma Core. I would usually be using the Scythe on Nekros. However, I recently got the Taipedo, and I am in love with this weapon. So I have three setups. I have the channeling setup, which does redonkulous amounts of damage, and when channeling, I have just a ton of crit. And this makes this build ridiculous. On this is my not channeling at all, purely elemental. And then this is my mix of the two. So I can get that little bit more crit and still get that lifesteal on that. And this is the build I'm going to be using because this build is more fun. So that's the build. What the heck? There we go. Okay. Just making sure nothing got taken off there. So, what I want to talk about today is Nekros. Let's find a suitable mission. You know what? Let's just do an easy mission where I don't really have to think. Ah, crap, it's the cold. What I wanted to talk about today is the state of Nekros as a Warframe. Now, brief disclaimer before I get into this. Nekros is my favorite Warframe for a variety of reasons. Um, I like the capacity. I like the capacity of the support frame, but I like the capacity of the support frame. But he doesn't do the support job well enough to be considered a support frame, and he doesn't do he doesn't do he doesn't do a good enough job in really anything. Thematically, they kind of dropped the ball on him. Soul Punch sucks. Terrify has potential, but it doesn't excuse the fact that it's limited by range uh, and a maximum number of affected targets. Like, that makes it subpar CC at most. I'm not asking it to be for this like room dominating CC, but what I do want is it to be effective in something, and at the current state of being, it's not. And partially because of that, I feel that because of that and just the way the drop table is right now and the way people treat Nekros as the press 333, I feel like he's a very undervalued frame. But I'm kind of going in all I'm going in all sorts of angles here. Let's list off. I love this frame, but let's list off his problems first. Okay. One ability to the next. One, Soul Punch is awful. I'm just gonna say it. It's gimmicky CC for god awful damage, and it's there for a ragdoll later on. And you have to stop moving while you're casting it. That's the biggest problem with me. If you had this mobile, like, I'm gonna knock that heavy gunner down before he rips me apart kind of mindset, that'd be fine, but you can't do that while moving. You can't deal with the threat and escape from it simultaneously like you can with Oberon or Limbo, another favorite frame of mine. No, you're not taking my Boltar Prime. Or any of that. So his one is just bad. And the cast time is abysmal. And that's a problem with all of Nekros' abilities. The cast time is abysmal. You need natural talent to be useful. I run it on everything. Because without it, casting Shadows of the Dead is more likely to get you killed than get you your decoys. Okay, so that's the problems with this one. It doesn't do anything right. Excuse me if I'm wrong on this, if it already does this, but I think it does 500 damage right now. I think that should be upgraded to finisher damage, because, I mean, all the way up until Jupiter and Saturn, your Soul Punch one-shots things anyway, because it ignores armor, but I think it should be given, and excuse me if I'm making a complete fool of myself there, and let me know in the comments. But I feel that it should be given finisher damage, just so it has a little bit of late-game viability. Throwing on an Intensify or a Blind Rage doesn't help you over much with this power, because it just sucks. Honestly, it's terrible. Okay, next ability. Problems with this number 2 is Terrify, which is potentially a really good ability. It barely has defensive capability right now. Barely. It's the oh shit panic button for when you're completely surrounded and you don't have enough time to cast Shadows of the Dead, and yeah, it's the oh shit button. And you know what? That's okay. Limbo's oh shit button is his too as well. It's also his, get into the rift so you can isolate your target and one-shot them and T3 exterminates like I do. Dagger Prime OP. Anyway, off topic. Extract. It's been 5 minutes already? Jeez. Like I was saying though, the problems with it are it's limited by range, and if you spec for range, you reduce the number of people it can fear. If you spec for max fear targets, you lose the range you might need, because if there's a heavy gunner just out of range of your Terrify shooting at you, you're kind of screwed in that situation. So I hardly use it. I use it usually when I'm about to go revive someone. And look at that kill feed. It's beautiful. It's about time to drop the shadows. What was I saying? But trying the min-max Terrify is impossible. It's just not a great ability. And so that's part of why, I like the ability. I like it. I like his theme, the whole Necromancer thing. It's part of why he's my favorite. It's part of why he's my favorite frame. But if none of his abilities, he feels more like a farmer now than a necromancer, and that's bad. When the theme of a Warframe doesn't work out, you know there's a problem. I'm gonna propose fixes for all this later down the video. Okay, next ability, his 3. This, I like the concept. The concept is cool. The execution is not. Oh shit. To me, Terrify is a way to, give me enough breathing room to drop my shadows, because this is my favorite part of his entire kit. It is what makes him matter, to me. Oh wow, I'm like out of energy. Shit. That's a problem. Come on, Energy Siphon, save me. Come on, Shadows, save me. Oh, I'm getting low on life support. What was I saying? Desecrate. Okay. I feel that it's a good skill, and it does not belong on Nekros. I like the concept. It provides, it reduces the grind. I like that. I agree with that. Like, I know where DE was going with this ability. It shouldn't be on Nekros. Nekros should have something else entirely. Thematically, in games forever, necromancers have always been the bulkier kinds of, wow. There we go. Necromancers have always been the bulkier, more defensive casters. And I like that. I like defensive frames. Nekros' stats don't help him with that theme. I need to move. I'm getting closed in here. And Desecrate fits like... I could understand a... oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I need to start moving towards extraction. But Desecrate just doesn't fit that. It doesn't fit that. It looks like something that would go on, like, honestly. Oh shit, those are bombards. I've lost my train of thought. Whoa, shit. Okay, time to leave. I'm in trouble. Give me a second. Look at that, 20 health. That's garbage. Is that a blast proc I saw back there? Okay. Oh! Yeah, I had no getting out of that. Anyway, now that I have full health. The power of the Typedo, kids. But I just don't like how his 3's on there. And you can't mod for Desecrate and any of his abilities at the same time. Like, every one of his abilities to help one, you kind of sacrifice on the other. Like my Shadows of the Dead build, I need Narrow-Minded for this. Oh wow, it's right here? Jeez. I don't really need to go. I can just hold here for a while. But Shadows of the Dead, to utilize Shadows of the Dead, I need Power Strength and Power Duration. Both of those do absolutely nothing for, they do nothing for Desecrate. Fucking ballistas. You know what? You know, I'm just gonna leave. Go do something else. But 2 revives is just embarrassing. Excuse me. But, okay, his Desecrate is... I like the ability. I'm beating a dead horse, but I like the ability. I feel like it has potential. I don't think it belongs on Nekros thematically. But I don't know where else to put it. It gives him a little bit of late game viability, which is good. But I feel like, in my opinion, every frame should have late game viability. Put the Reaper Prime back on. I feel naked without it. But I feel like... Actually, you know what? I can make this a little bit better. There. Okay. So these are the base stats of your abilities. Soul Punches. The range doesn't make sense. The damage is okay. But it's just early. But it's bad and it doesn't scale well. Terrify. The only good... Okay, I had forgotten about this. Forgive me. Terrify's armor reduction percentage is the only armor reduction ability in the game that cannot be, through power, strength, and all that, be brought up to 100%. Don't quote me on that, but I've seen that in several places, and if you look at any Nekros thread on the Warframe forums, you'll see similar things. That armor reduction is the only thing that makes Terrify viable late game. But 12 enemies for 25 seconds and 20 meters. It's a short range fear, and it makes them run away from you. I know that makes sense, but that's so bad in everything except survival. It's just bad. In defense or interception, you have to kill them. In exterminate, you obviously have to kill them. In deception, it's okay. I suppose it's okay in like deception or spy missions, but mobile defense, it's decent. But after that time, they come back. But a huge glaring flaw with this ability is that you can't recast it if you're okay. Here's a scenario: you're in the void, Tower 4 survival. You're low on health, you're about to die, you pop Terrify and you run. You run around the corner and there's an ancient and a heavy gunner there and you can't do anything about it, and the gunner's already beginning to fire. You can't recast Terrify to save you. You can't recast it to fire it again. And I feel like this ability would become a lot more viable late game if Terrify could be instantly recast. And recast elsewhere, and affect new people. Giving it this one shot thing is okay, but it's not great if in the bum rush that is survival missions or the void. So that's my thoughts on that. Okay, Desecrate. Additional loot percentage, 90%. It feels like 70. Health orb drop. That feels like 90. Power range, 25. It's a good ability. Okay, it's a good ability. I like the ability. I just don't think it makes sense on a Necromancer. It looks like it would make sense on like a thief-oriented Warframe. Like, I could see Loki having Desecrate. Or, nah, not really. Loki's setup is perhaps the most utilitarian and I think the most late game viable in Warframe. But Desecrate does not belong on him. Shadows of the Dead. Base. These are base stats. Like, this isn't taking mods into the account, which I find funny. 7 enemies for 30 seconds. With my build, I have, I believe, 10 or 11 for 55 seconds. Here's the problem with Shadows of the Dead. I love this ability. It's awesome. It fits his theme. It makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel like a commander of a small army. The problem is, there's a couple problems. One, the AI of the Shadows, and this is not new, and I know that this is, like, if I don't point this out, I'll get stuff in the comments. The AI is absolutely garbage. It's so bad. They kind of just hang around the area where you drop them. They kind of follow you, they kind of don't. It's finicky, and they're summoned at the same level as what they were killed. And that is like, okay, it's a wet noodle fight, and you can watch them, and more often than not, your Shadows will lose, because there's going to be more of the enemies in the void. He's a Necromancer. He should be able to resummon them stronger and more efficient. So there's that. The soul cache system that works with Shadows of the Dead. It pulls from a cache of the last 20 things you killed. That makes sense. It lets Nekros pick and choose his army. And I know someone's going to say, you can just use Soul Punch to last hit Ancients and stuff. Yeah, but what are you going to do for the rest of that time? Sit there and desecrate? Do you know how boring that is? It's so unbelievably boring. It hurts. I don't want Nekros to be a damage frame. I just want his skills to work better and like matter. But that's a little bit beside the point. But the Soul Cache system is an interesting system. However, I feel it's limited in that if you build your army and then get in an oh shit moment and you can't recast Terrify, you're gonna have to gun them down, and then your Soul Cache and then like all of your good stuff in your Soul Cache will be empty, replaced with all the like trash mobs. And that's not good. And of course, the duration. I don't know how I feel about duration on this kind of ability. I feel they should be summoned until they died. Okay, now potential fixes. Potential fixes for Nekros' abilities. This is me spitballing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Link me to the forums if you want, but I'm pretty sure I've already seen roughly 6 or 8 Nekros rework potential or Nekros fixes. I'm gonna spitball 3 fixes here. What I would like, what DE could do to make okay. Let me get this idea across clearly. I'm sorry for the scatterbrainedness of this video. Okay, the first fix is what I would do to change every single ability to fit his theme. The second fix is what I would change to each ability without completely overhauling his kit. And the third fix is the bare bones minimum to make Nekros late game viable and anything other than survival. Okay, to begin with my thematic overhaul. His first ability, Soul Punch, I believe should be, I like the concept, but I don't like its execution. I feel like Soul Tear or something, just to come up with names, not to rip off Skyrim. Or Soul Burst, that's better. He targets an enemy. I'm trying to think of like Oberon Smite without the projectiles coming out of his smite. However, you target them, you blow them up for, it's a 1 ability. It's not supposed to be amazing, but it needs to be viable, in my mind. You target an enemy, it does 500 finisher damage at same range. I'm okay with that range. Same range. It explodes them in an AoE, in a 5-meter AoE. That might be a lot, but 5-meter AoE. That can be enhanced by power range and power strength. Power strength increases damage, power range increases the cast range and the range of the explosion. Deals damage to that enemy and knocks down all enemies around it. And you can increase the power cost to this to 50 if you want, because that seems fair. Second ability, my fix for Terrify. Make it recastable. Like that's the first thing. Make it recastable instantly if you need to. Take off the limit on how many can be affected and make the only limit its range, because that makes the most sense. Change the Terrified AI, so make the AI reaction cascading effect. If they're right, if they're within 1 meter of you and you cast it, they should have a 15% chance to commit suicide out of fear, like their heart stops. If they're outside of that but within 10 meters, they stop moving and they drop and cower. Outside of that, they can just run away and do what they normally do. I feel like this would give him the CC of Terrify, make it a little bit more reliable, a little bit more fun. And then it allows for more creativity for like a gimmick build, like the Heartstopper build, where you just max out power strength and throw in a little bit of power range and just rush into enemies and try to get them to kill themselves. I think that could be funny. I think that could be absolutely hilarious, watching a heavy gunner just kind of collapse. Obviously, it wouldn't work on bosses. The armor reduction, I think, should be reduced to 15% to compensate for that new CC. I like the armor reduction. In my mind, I'm still not sure if it fits him, but it gives him some viability. His 3 Desecrate should be swapped out for something else. I feel like his 3 should change into, and I saw this on the forums, and I like this idea, into a life drain or a life link, and where he links himself to all enemies around him and heals for, at max rank, let's say 50% of the damage dealt to them. This gives him some survivability, and it adds to that kind of like, not quite vampiric, but like malevolent, tanky necromancer theme that I like. And Terrify's cost should be reduced to 50, and that should be increased to 75, because that's a fairly powerful ability. And then you could, of course, max for like range. And range wouldn't affect how far away you could cast it. It would actually affect how many you can link at once, and Intensify would increase the healing percentage. Kind of like think kind of like Nova's Molecular Prime. There it is. Forgot for a minute. Think of Molecular Prime and how power duration actually affects how far out the pulse goes, and range just affects how far the explosions are. It's a little bit different, but I think that would fit his theme. And for Shadows of the Dead, I like it, but here's my thing: make the enemies 30% stronger. Like that, and that can't be changed by mods. Make it 30% stronger. Remove duration. Remove the duration, and make it so power range affects how far they're gonna, like change their AI so they can hunt. They'll hunt enemies or within a certain range, and they'll target them down. Change the AI so they'll target the strongest enemy or the enemy that's doing the most damage to you at that time and kill them first. And then have power range affect how far they'll roam out from Nekros. So perhaps a max range build might not be so good, but a max power strength would still affect how many you summon at once. And I feel like that base number of 7 is still sufficient. The soul cache system should stay mostly as it is, but the most powerful of your soul cache will be the one summoned. So if you're going from like 1 to 10, or like 1 to 15, if you have like Grineer Lancer, Grineer Seeker, all these trash mobs, and then like your last 7 would be Heavy Gunner, Bombard, Eviscerator, Corpus Nullifier, Corrupted Bombard, like all this, and like these powerful mobs. Those mobs at the bottom of the list would be the ones summoned because they're the most powerful. I feel like that's how it should work. He should, like, who wants to summon a bunch of trash mobs? There's no point to that. And that's how I would fix Shadows of the Dead. Now that was my first overhaul. Now, here's what DE could do without completely overhauling his kit. Remove duration on Shadows of the Dead. Make Terrify recastable. Make Soul Punch, make it so you can move. Like, Soul Punch doesn't stop you in place to cast. Terrify, the armor reduction percentage should go up by 5%. And yeah, that would be, to me, that would be enough to make me happy with DE. Like, your Shadows of the Dead should last until they're killed. I'm sorry, but I feel like that's just how it should be. And now, the bare bones minimum fix. Like, bare bones minimum. Remove duration from Shadows of the Dead and make Terrify recastable. And something, I just remembered this. Add to all 3 fixes, Shadows of the Dead should be recastable to replenish your shadows after they die. So those are the fixes. Those are my proposed fixes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I want to know your feedback. I want to know what you think. I want Nekros to be a frame other than a farmer. I want him to be a better frame. DE, I feel, can do a lot better with this. He could potentially be a really great frame, and I like his theme. And on a side note, buff scythes, please. Using anything other than a scythe on Nekros feels wrong, so please buff them and make them worth using. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.